So this is our newbie bloggers group, and we're talking about how to create and monetize a blog post. So the first thing that I want to know is how many folks have a blog? I have a blog. So Sally, you have a blog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and give us the name of your blog.
Embrace the unexpected.
I love that. Mine is called Freestyle Living. And both of us, Sally and I both have what's called a lifestyle blog. And Sally is actually my co-host on this particular call. And her biggest job duty today is if for some reason I get bumped off, she lets me back in the room.
Yeah.
But anyway, Sally and I both have lifestyle blogs. You can have technical blogs. There's all kinds, but the most common is a lifestyle blog because you want to talk about something that you're very familiar with, unless you're doing something, really niche down to where you do have something technical. But anyone else have a blog? Liz, do you have a blog yet?
I do.
And what's it called?
It's not very active.
That's okay.
Three Mountains Wellness. That's my business, and I have a blog for it. I just don't post very often, so I thought I'd join this to get motivated to start posting.
Very good. And it's called, what is it again? Three
Mountains Wellness.
Three Mountains Wellness. And so your blog is all about wellness.
Acupuncture, wellness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Shasta, how about you? Do you have a blog?
Not yet. I've come up with a name and an idea, but I haven't, created it yet.
Okay, very good, very good. And Stephanie, how about you? Do you have a blog already?
I had a blog, Dash of Zen, Cup of Life.
Okay.
Yeah, and but I'm actually not here for that. I'm here because I do neuroscience content writing for a researcher and neuropsychologist, and he needs a blog.
Okay.
He needs a blog, yeah. So I'll be his blogger. I've been his content writer, but I'll be his blogger if he agrees to that, which I think he will. Yeah.
Very, very nice. Okay. Julia, do you have a blog already? Yeah, Julia,
No,
there you go. You do not.
Still
Okay.
thinking about it.
All right. And Linda, do you have a blog already?
It is not in action, although I am actively writing content and I have a name and a domain and all that good stuff.
Okay. Okay. Centauria, how about you? I don't know if she's multitasking.
Yeah, good morning. No, I
Yes.
was just trying to get the right background. There's a lot of sun coming in.
I understand.
But anyway, I haven't been focusing on that. I'm focusing on another project, but it is Puppy Talk too.
Okay.
And but I haven't. I mean, I've got some stored content, but that's about as far as it gets on that blog.
Okay. All right. Lacey, how about you?
Something else.
Good morning. No, I do not have one yet. That's why I'm here to see what it's all about and how to get started and see if I'm interested.
All right, perfect. And last person on is Laprelle. We've got France in the audience, so we'll see if they want to come up. Laprelle, how about you?
Good morning to all. Yes, I do. My blog is called Growth Through Ganja Smoke. It is about lifestyle, mental health and wellness, growth and personal development through the use of medical marijuana.
Okay.
It has been inactive for a while, so I'm so glad that you guys are hosting this group so that I can learn how to make it profitable and how to make it more noticeable this year. So thank you in advance.
Yes, thank you for being here. We have France. France, how about you? Do you have a blog already? Tori, is it Tori France? France Tori? Not sure. And Carmela just joined us. Carmela, do you have a blog already?
No, not yet. In the process, I mean, I'm being pushed because there's things that I write and I put out there, and it's been suggested.
Okay.
Let's name any names, Kathy, that I should start that. So I'm leaning more and more towards doing that.
Yeah. If any of you see Carmela on social media, she has these very heartfelt posts that, you know, it just really draws you in. And so every time I see one of her posts, I go, Carmela, you should be doing the blog. France Tori, is it Tori France or France Tori? Do I have that correct?
My first name is France.
France, okay.
Yes.
And do you have a blog already?
No, I don't, but as I give lessons for children and adults, I'd like to make one.
Very nice, very nice. Now, I don't think I've missed anyone. Now, here's what I want to talk about today. We go through the steps of creating a blog from start to finish. So in January, we talked all about your blog name. And of course, a blog name, you know, sometimes, I don't know about you, but I kind of limit myself. I come up with this great name, and then I realize that quite suddenly I realize that I want to write about other things that really don't fit under that name. So I encourage all of you to just picture a bigger umbrella over the stuff that you want to write about as you're picking your name. So for those of you that have not chosen a name yet, that's going to be your first step, and don't choose too small. Let me give you an example. I was in the salon industry for years, and I opened up a salon called All About Nails because I was a nail tech. And about 2 months in, hairstylist wanted to join the salon, and the salon name was All About Nails. And I'm like, oh, I could hire some stylists and it would actually help me financially, but what do I do with the name? And so very quickly I realized that I chose too narrow of a name. So what I encourage you all to do is make a list of everything that you want to write about. And because we all are multifaceted, so just make a list of everything that you want to write about, and then try to find that common thread that goes through that list and come up with a name. Again, I'm going to give you an example on how I named mine. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this today, but for those of you that haven't started yet, I feel that I need to tell you this so that you can kind of get caught up with those of us that do have a blog already. And so it'll help you get started. So what I did is I listed everything that I wanted to write about. I love real estate. That was going to be my passive income. I love writing. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, real estate, writing. And then of course, Mark and I are very active. So we like hiking. We met ballroom dancing. You see where I'm going with this? Real estate, writing, ballroom dancing. How in the world is all of this going to fit together? We've got some other folks in the audience. I'm going to let them in real quick. If you get a little button that says promote to panelists, come on up so we can see you. So anyway, what I did is I thought, okay, I think I want to write about passive income because everything there. Then I thought, well, ballroom dancing doesn't have anything to do with passive income unless I turn it into some kind of a business. So I thought, how in the world am I going to name a blog if I want to write like, oh, we went to this wonderful dance last night, and then we went hiking the next day, and we looked at some real estate, and now I'm going to, you know, write a book. It's like, how do you put all of that in the same blog? And so I realized when I looked at the overarching umbrella of all of those topics that what I really wanted was freestyle living. I wanted to be able to have passive income, work from anywhere in the world, and to live life on my terms. And so my blog became Freestyle Living. So that's just an example. That's just one example of how you want to get that 50,000-foot view of all of your topics so that you don't put yourself in a box and not be able to write about something and realize that you've named your salon All About Nails and now you want to hire hairstylists. So anyway, that's my best advice. And we start with the blog name. Once you have the blog name, then you can go and get your domain. Now, sometimes your domain is already gone. You come up with this great name and you love it, and you go to lookunder.com and it's already taken. There's nothing wrong with doing a .net or one of the other, endings on your domain. Most folks, they just are searching for freestyle living and it'll come up. They don't, because there's so many different, whatever these days, that folks don't automatically assume that it's a .com. So don't get stuck there. Don't feel like, oh, I got to now change it to something different once I came up with this great idea, because there's a lot of different, endings that you can choose from. But do your research. Don't pick one that says something to the public, like don't pick .edu if you're not an educational institution. Don't pick .org if you're not a nonprofit. You see where I'm going with that? Make sure that you get something that is appropriate, but you don't have to stick with .com if you found your perfect name. So that's the first step, is to come up with a name so that you can get your domain, because you can't start building your platform until you have a domain to connect it. So the second month in February, we talked about then what platform are you going to put your blog on? And you can start blogging now, but save it. If you're going to write a blog post, if you got this great story, 250 words or less, and a great little story, make sure that you save it on a Word document somewhere. I like Google Docs. You might be using MS Word. It's whatever word processing program works for you. But like Carmela, she's already blogging. She's just blogging on Facebook, because when she does those wonderful posts, it's already a blog post. So she's already blogging. It's just on Facebook. So if you've done that and you've put some social media out there and you're thinking, oh, that would have been a great blog post, but I already posted it, go back and capture that. Go back and copy and paste that over into a Word document somewhere and save it. I don't know if you remember, but not too terribly long ago, Facebook kind of went down for a couple of days. Does everybody remember when that happened? I can't even tell you now how long ago it was, but Facebook you couldn't get on, and it just kind of had crashed for a couple of days, and all your work would be gone if that's the only place you have it. And that's my point. Any given platform could crash. There's always that possibility. So just have a backup in your computer somewhere on a Word document, that you can then refer back to. So at that point, you need to get online. That's our second in February. It was find your platform. There's 1,000,001 platforms. Now, what I did is, I'm not a WordPress girl. WordPress is and I'm going to give you a quick lesson for those of you that are not techie at all. For those of you that are techie, bear with me because you're way ahead of me. But if you're not techie at all, just know that WordPress is the grandfather of platforms. And so programmers have built websites out of WordPress, and that's one of the earliest versions. And you can totally tailor make anything exactly the way you want it to be. Well, I wanted to blog. I didn't want to be a platform builder. Okay. And so I'm like, oh, I could do that, but what's that learning curve going to look like for me to figure out what plugin should I have, and where do I position it? How do I choose colors? And so what I did is I just went over on, I don't know, Google, whatever search engine you're using. And I simply said to myself, gee, I want something easy because I want to put my brain power into writing the blogs, not into designing websites. And so I just Googled or searched for what are the top blogging platforms. And the same 5 kept coming up in my search. And one of the top 5 is called HostGator. And I'll mention HostGator because that's the platform that I decided to go with. And that's the one that Sally is on as well. And also, if you go to kathybinner.com, so everybody make a note of that. You can see my name here in my little Hollywood square. Just go to kathybinner.com and go to my resource page. I do have an affiliate link, so everyone on the call will get to know what that means. That means that I can actually make money sending folks over to HostGator as well. It has an affiliate program, and you can do that too. Once you're on HostGator, then you have the option to have an affiliate link with HostGator. And so at that point, if you go over to my resource page and click through on the HostGator link on the resource page, you will get it at a discounted price. And so that's my gift to you. And it doesn't cost you anything. As a matter of fact, it costs you less to click through on my website because you get the discount. And it actually gives me some points with HostGator. So anyway, that's how affiliate links work. And we're going to talk more about how to monetize your blog later. But your first step is to find your name, get your domain, and your second step then is to get that domain connected to a platform. Now, one of the easy steps for those of you that haven't started it all, if you go to what we call a drag and drop or a plug and play type website like HostGator, it's all inclusive. When you go there, you get to choose your domain and the theme that you want for your blog all in one visit. And so you don't have to physically try to figure out how. Now I've got my domain, I bought it from like GoDaddy and now it's separate, and now here I got my platform. How do I get the domain to point to my platform? When you go to a program like HostGator, they actually let you pick your domain right there inside their platform, and they connect it for you. Now, that's not to say that you can't move. Let's say that you might say, oh my gosh, I started out, having this other platform in my domain, and it, maybe you started on WordPress and you're like, oh, it's harder than I thought it was going to be. I don't want to stay on WordPress, but I want to keep my name and it's already pointed to the WordPress. You can actually redirect the pointing of that domain over to a new platform. So you're not stuck with a platform you don't like. So just so you know that you are able to move that. So just know that that's your first couple of steps: picking your name, choosing a platform, getting the domain and the platform connected. And then we talked about how to customize it in March. In March, our whole topic was, now that you've got your name, now that you got your platform, how are you going to customize it? So you want to start branding yourself a little bit. And so think about if you've already have some products out there, don't reinvent the wheel. What color scheme did you pick for those graphics for the products you already have? What goes with your topic? I have a gal that she's blogging about homesteading. And so she wanted definitely the color green somewhere. And she's all about being organic and going green and homesteading. And so she definitely wanted her platform to be green. Green is going to be her signature color on everything that she does. So start thinking about customizing your look, about branding who you are and what you're representing and what you're doing. And so that's what we talked about in March. So now in April, we're talking about, now we're ready to start writing our blog post. We've got our name, we've chosen our domain, we have our platform, we've connected the domain. Now points when somebody goes and searches for Freestyle Living, it points over to my HostGator. My HostGator opens up, and now I've already branded myself. I've got my colors in place. I have some products that I know places. I've got some affiliate links I already signed up for, like the HostGator affiliate link, but I also have an Amazon link. I've got some other affiliates that I've already registered for. So now I'm ready to start writing blog posts. So now we want to write and publish. So now you're thinking, okay, I'm all set. And all of a sudden my mind goes blank. Oh, what do I write about? Here I am ready to go. And what do I write about? So I just want to briefly mention this, is there's a platform out there called PLR. PLR, write that down, PLR. You can, again, I have an affiliate link. You can go to my, and again, it sounds like, oh, Kathy's just on here as an infomercial. She's just, purporting all of her affiliate links. But if you go to my resource page on my website, kathyvinner.com, and go to the PLR link, everything there you buy by credits, and I will give you 10 credits to get started. And you say, well, what's in it for you, Kathy? Well, every time you click through and get 10 credits, I get 10 more credits. That's how they pay me, is in credits. And each article on there is generally 1 to 3 credits. And so what you can do, all of us have heard about, you go online and you can get free pictures. There's some sites you have to pay for pictures, but a lot of sites you get free pictures. PLR is a site where you get free articles. They are public use articles. Now, here's how I recommend that you use PLR. You go in and in the search bar, you Google your topic that you want to write about that day, and you let PLR show you the different articles that it has under that topic. You pick the one that you like, you download it, save it on a Word document, save it either into a Google Doc or a WordPress doc or whatever, and then use that as an outline. You don't have to just copy and paste that article. You could, because it's free, but I could be copying, pasting the same article, see? So somebody may have already published that article that you just downloaded from PLR, because they do have a lot of members. So what I like to do is take the article and then I make it mine. Once I get it into a Word document or into a Google Doc, then I can make it mine. For example, I'm all about passive income. So let's say that today I wanted to write about passive income. I might go and say, I want an article all about money. And so the article talks about money and making money, but it doesn't really totally align with my message, because I want my message to be passive income. So I might go in and every place that says money, I might change it to passive income. You see how I can make it mine? That's just one example. Or I might, and then again, there's a way that once you are ready to write your article and you have your topics that you want to write about, you might say, well, how many folks are really going to search for this? And so what I did is I went over to Google Trends and I just searched for the word Google Trends. And this, again, this platform opens up called Google Trends, and you can type in three to I think 5 different phrases and see how they're trending. And so I typed in money, I typed in passive income, I typed in working from home, and I thought passive income was going to be a big hit. And what I realized is passive income is trending some, but working from home was trending so much higher than the phrase passive income. So guess what I did? I went back to that PLR article that was all about money, and I reworked it to where every place it said money, I changed it to working from home to create passive income. So you see how I use the PLR as my platform, as my basis, as my outline, but then I found out what was trending, and then I put that into my article. Now, here's what I want to tell all of you. Anytime you've searched for anything on the internet, you know, how to can tomatoes, for example, you're going to get a bunch of blog posts. You're going to see all these articles on how to can tomatoes. These are just different blog posts that folks have written. So now that's why I wanted to know what was trending. So now when folks, you know, go and search for how do I make money from home? You know, now guess what? My article is going to come up. You see how that works? And so that's why writing and publishing is so important, that you get a good article that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. You know, once upon a time, but then, and now. And so just keep that in mind as you're writing an article. When you're just writing something, it's okay to just write how you felt about something, but have a moral to the story. Have a lesson learned. Have an ending to the post. You know, like once upon a time, and again, put down those prompts, once upon a time, but then, and now. And then write your story. You know, once upon a time, this is what I felt, this is what I thought, this is, but then I discovered this. And now this is what it means to me, or this is how I want to help you, or, but now this is what I'm doing with this. You know, so have where your reader feels like they've completed that circle. Don't leave them just, you know, hanging out there at the end of your blog post. So have a moral of the story, have an ending, have a reason that they read your blog post. And then once you write the blog post, you're going to name it last. You know, a lot of folks go, here's the name of my post. This is what I'm going to put at the top. And then they're trying to make what they write fit the title. Write your blog post first, and then see what title gives away the ending. Are you with me on that? So again, I might write an article all about money, which I've changed to working from home on how to create passive income. And so once I get through, the article will take on a life of its own as you're writing, as everyone in here that's a writer knows this. Sometimes your writing does take on a life of its own. You don't really know where your story is going to end until you write it. And then once it ends, you're like, huh, yeah, that is where I wanted to go with that story. And so now your title needs to be something that catches everyone's attention. So now you can go back to Google Trends and you can see what type of titles are trending. And what really catches attention, and I don't know about you, but it does me, is 5 ways to do this, or 3 lessons I learned from that. You see where I'm going, and people will read that. So now when you're writing your blog post, do some bullet points in the middle of your blog post. So now I might say, once I have my outline, once I decide that, you know, working from home is trending on how to create passive income, I might say 5 things I learned working from home, or 5 ways I learned how to create passive income working from home, or 5 ways to work from home. You see where I can, but play around with 5 ways or 3 things, or because that attracts the readers. And then put those 5 things or those 3 ways or whatever you're writing about in bullet points. And because readers want a quick read. How many of us have clicked into a blog post and it went on a little too long and we aborted? We were like, oh, I don't have time for that today. You know, it sounds interesting, but I don't have time to go through the whole thing today. So make sure that you make it easy. Leave some open space. Don't make it so much writing, you know, that you can't, you know, weed through it. Leave some open space around your writing so that folks can see that you've got the 3 ways or the 5 points or whatever. I saw a hand and it disappeared. Who had their hand up? Did somebody have a question? Or was somebody practicing with the hand? Jump in if you have a question.
I was just coming into agreement with you by clicking on the post, and it's just too long, and so yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that, Centauria. Thank you for that. Yes. And that happens all the time. So anyway, so that's what we want to talk about on designing your story. So now each little blog post is going to be its own little story. It has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's where, when we're blogging, sometimes we forget that whole post needs to be a standalone story all on its own. And that's why it's so important to start with once upon a time. And think about that. You're going to start with, before you learned something, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? What was going on before whatever this aha moment happened? But then you had this aha moment. You read this great article, or you sat in this great seminar, or your mother made a comment, whatever your aha moment was, you know, and then this aha moment happened. And now here's what I learned from that, or here's what I think now, or here's where I'm at now. So make it a complete story. Yes, Liz, I see your hand up.
In terms of blog post length, I mean, are we talking about like number of words, or are we talking like a 2-minute read, 1-minute read? What do you think people actually want to spend time on?
Well, I'm a firm believer of not reinventing the wheel, so I'm just going to do a little search, and I want to say 250 words, but let's just look and see what folks think. Length of blog post. And it says, how long should a blog post be? And let's see what they tell us.
3,000.
And they tell us that it should be around, and I'm right around 250 to 300 words is the perfect length for a blog post. It's not saying that you can't go longer. It's not saying that you can't go shorter. It's just saying that, you know, that's the perfect length of blog post. Now, what you can do, if you've got a story to tell and it takes longer than that, you can make it into 2 separate blog posts. As a matter of fact, that actually is a way to attract readers. You know, you can kind of give on purpose, you could give them a little cliffhanger. My guess is for those of us that are thinking about having a blog, we're readers. We got a lot of readers in the group, I think, probably. I love a cliffhanger in a chapter or in a book. And so you could do that with a blog post if you make it intentional that you want to have a cliffhanger because you've got a second blog post that's going to finally bring that story complete circle. And anyone else? Questions, comments? So let me talk about on writing and publishing now. Next month, we're going to get into how to promote, but as you're actually writing your blog post, think about how you're going to monetize it. So keep in mind, you're going to weave into your story a way to point to something. You're either going to point to a book you've read, you're going to point to a product you're using, you're going to point to a course you've written, you're going to point to a program you have, you're going to point to something, but you want to point to it in a very subtle way inside your writing. You want to make it a part of your story. And so, for example, I just did last night what was called the Happy House Hunters. It's a group of newbie investors. So if I write about investing, I can say, at our meetup last month, the question came up. You see how I can weave my product into the story, because then somebody might go, meetup, she's having a meetup. You know, what's this meetup all about? So now I can weave that into the story that at our meetup last month, this question came up and here I researched it and here's the answer. And I used to think this, but then see my aha moment, I discovered that. And now this is what I believe about that particular thing on real estate. And if you're interested in coming to the meetup and learning more, here's how you can, and then put the link in there. And it takes them back to my products and services. So what you're going to do is you're going to weave your products and services into the story. You always want to have a story. And we've got some folks in the room that have some great stories. So again, storytelling is going to be the cornerstone of all of your blog posts. And all of us, again, if you're great readers, and you love a great story, just know that when you're writing the blog post, you want it to be in a story form. So let me check in with Sally. I know, Sally, I see that you've clicked your camera off. So Sally might be multitasking. Let's see if
Hey,
Sally...
there looks like there was a question in the chat though.
Oh, let me check. What are your thoughts on the Bloggerspot platform? I haven't checked out the Bloggerspot platform. Here is, and that's from Laprel. Here's what I'm going to say. A platform, any platform, is better than no platform. So
now, I use Blogspot.
Get started. Yes. Yes. So Centauri, do you like Blogspot?
Yeah, it worked. It worked out great. I started that years and years ago, just using Blogspot, and it's just worked out really great for me.
Yes. Just research and play around with a couple. And the thing of it is if you're not real tech savvy, once you get your domain name connected to a blogging platform, you might feel awkward or handicapped on how to get it pointed to a different platform if you decide you want to switch. But here's what I know. For all of you that go out on Google and search for something on any search engine, I'm using Google here across the board. But if you search for something and some articles come up, how many of you really pay attention to what platform it's written on? I couldn't even tell you what platform most of those are written on. And I can't even tell you really what date, unless it's something that is time sensitive. I usually don't even pay attention to the date as long as it's somewhat relative. You know, I might search for a topic and it'll say, oh, this I can see written by Susie Q in January of 2020. Okay, well, that's still relative, you know. Yeah. Now, if it was written back in 1995, I might go, oh, maybe that's not as relative today. But for the most part, I don't even pay any attention to the date.
Now, see, I usually pay attention to the date.
Okay.
I don't pay attention to the platform, but I do pay attention to the date. Now, I might read something that's old, but I'm going to compare it with something that is new.
Just to see if new
Exactly. If there's
technology has
any
come along
changes.
and
Exactly.
changed it. Yes, yes, I
Exactly.
get that. Yep, I get that. Sally, are you available to come on for a minute, or are you multitasking today? It's a Friday morning. She might.
I'm good. I am multitasking, but I'm good.
Okay. I want to talk just a little bit about story, and so Sally has been in some of our calls with story, and so Sally, tell us, when you're writing your blog post, how do you start? How do you come up with the beginning, the middle, and the end of your story so that you can tie the post all together? And you've done a couple where you've left a cliffhanger and then finished it in a second post.
Yes. I've done that about what it means to be a mermaid, a travel agent.
Yeah, first of all, everybody has to know that Sally is a travel agent, and her travel company is called Mermaid Travel. So if you're wondering why she's talking about mermaids, that's why.
Yeah, that's right. So I of course came up with Embrace the Unexpected for my blog name because of things that have happened in my life, just in general, things that happen when you're traveling. And I have quite a bit to write about that. So it's really, I think it depends on what I'm writing about, because some things are very personal. Last year I wrote what it meant to turn 69 and the things that have happened the previous year. This year, a lot of, now I'm 70 and I got married a year ago, and a lot of great grandmothers. So those are stories I can, along with travel, to weave into a blog post and make it come together as under one umbrella, as Kathy talks. You know, it might not seem to go together, travel agent and Embrace the Unexpected, but it does, surprisingly. And so sometimes I write about trips I've been on. Sometimes I just write about very personal things. I get the most response from when I'm the most personal, when I write about those personal things. So, and I do write it up in Word. So I have all of these saved. So I can go back and use them again. It's been a while, so I could use some of my previous posts again. So I hope that answered.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Story is so important. And even if you're doing technical writing, and so for some of you that we're going to do a little more technical writing, you still have to bring some personal story into it. And here's why. You want your readers to lean in, and you don't want it to be just full of statistics and facts and that sort of thing. You need to have some story involved in there on why those statistics and facts, why they're important to you, or why they should be important to the reader. So you have to include story. And here's a perfect example. Mark and I just most recently did a trip down to Gatlinburg. We went all the way to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and then we circled back to Gatlinburg. And while in Gatlinburg, we decided to go see a couple of live shows. And for those of you that love, yeah, Julia said she has to leave. She'll see us next time. Julia, thank you so much for being with us today. So anyhow, while we were at the theater, I liken it to Broadway and off-Broadway. These were the smaller little theaters because the bigger theaters in Gatlinburg don't open until April, and we were there in March. And so we were going into these little tiny theaters, seat maybe 50 people. And so the first one, it was supposed to be, you know, tribute to these singers, and these folks just got up and sang. And finally, in the middle of the show, this one told his story. And he was not the best singer. He was not the youngest singer. He was not the most attractive singer. He was not any of those things. But he pulled up a stool, he sat down, and he told his story. He told a story about how he met the singer that he was impersonating. They became great friends. He traveled with the singer that he was impersonating. He then ended up being diagnosed with cancer. He struggled through a battle with cancer. He came through it. He loves to perform. He loves to be on stage. He loves for people to connect. And he loved this singer that he is impersonating. Everyone in the room was leaning in because of his story. And at the end, All the singers said, we're going to be out front for pictures. Guess who everyone wanted their picture with? Some of the singers were standing there with no line at all, and almost everyone in the room was in line for this guy that told his story. So story is very powerful. So when you're writing your blog post, be sure and put some of your story or why this is important to your readers, why it would affect their story. And so just make sure that you weave that in there. And because again, if not, your blog post, because we're talking all about how we can monetize, your blog post is going to sound salesy, like you're just pitching your products and services. So make sure you have your story. Okay, thoughts, comments. I saw someone's hand up earlier. I don't know if they were just giving me a high five or whether they had a question. Linda, I'm going to switch over to you for just a second. Tell us a little bit, two things. Linda has been with me for some time. She's in a couple of my groups. She's a wonderful gal, so get to know Linda. She also has a great platform that she has chosen, and this is just another version. You can just have your blogging platform, but she's creating this whole business. So if any of you are going to build out an entire business where you're going to have courses and maybe challenges and workshops and maybe later on, you know, have some books or whatever, you might have an all-in-one platform that you can also do your blogging on the same platform, and you don't have to do separate platforms. And so I'm going to let Linda tell you a little bit about what she's doing and her platform and how her blog is going to weave in with her products and services. So Linda, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I think your message is very important. And I want all of our viewers today to get a feel for the other option.
Thank you. And when you say platform, do you just mean how all the moving parts fit together, or more on the like technical side, or what?
Well, just whatever you found that was helpful for you as you were getting started, because we've got some folks in the group that haven't started yet, and we have some folks in the group that they're not sure if they're on the right platform or not before they start actually writing their blog post.
Yeah, and I don't have a platform yet for my actual blog, and chances are high that I will just go with HostGator using your link. I developed from coaching, and then I went more niche into the area of end-of-life planning through a series of events and my exposure and my life experience. And I developed a course called the Legacy of Love Project. And by the way, I have a new group that'll be launching later this month, if that's of interest to anyone. And the idea in this particular course is that I help people, we walk together through creating their perfect end-of-life plan in 12 weeks or less. And we cover all the things that you might think are in it and a whole lot more that you never thought of and never knew were important. I'm using social media to bring awareness. So that's another thing. Using short form video, 1 minute or less. And as Kathy had said in her world, you end up with so many ways that you can bring value to people. So I have a website called, well, the Legacy of Love Project has its own domain, legacyofloveproject.com. But then I have an overarching theme like Kathy's is with Freestyle Living. And my overarching theme is I choose abundance. And I was fortunate enough and amazed enough to get a .com for that. And so legacy and financial freedom and personal growth, all these things fit under the idea of an abundant life. So I feel like I've given myself a wide enough umbrella that I can cover many things that are of interest and value to me, and where I feel that I can bring value to other people. And in my course, I am fortunate enough that I have found an amazing technological platform that allows me to host as many web pages as I need, landing pages, links pages. I have a beautiful links page where people can find out everything about me, and it's on my own real estate, not some other apps. And they're like, there's no ads. Once they get to my real estate, you know, it's all the things that I want to share with them. And then I also have the ability to have my scheduling calendar there and my membership area where people can access all of their course materials. So over time, and you know, it's all school of hard knocks for all of us, but over time, I've accumulated some things that are really working. And it's wonderful to feel that I can help and bring value to people in so many ways. And then I'm also sharing a lot of my stuff to YouTube. I have a lot of material I need to upload. But does that sort of answer what you were looking for, Kathy?
Yes. So here's the difference. And I just want to paint this picture. I started and I've kind of piecemealed mine together, so to speak. So I started off with just my website, and then I decided to build out some courses. Well, my website wouldn't hold my courses. So then I went over and I got Teachable. And I love the Teachable platform for all my courses. It does all the pay and all. I don't have to worry about that. It's all built in. I don't have to try to figure out a plugin for PayPal or a credit card. All of that's included right in the Teachable platform. And then I decided that I wanted to blog. So then my original website didn't have a good blogging plugin. So I then went over to HostGator. And so as Linda was saying, she can do everything right in her platform. Well, then I wanted to do some scheduling so that folks could connect with me. So I went over and I created a Calendly for those of you that, you know, start to get busy. If you're sending a lot of folks to your websites and now they're wanting to connect with you, you'll soon realize there's not enough hours in the day for you to connect with everybody that wants to connect with you. And some of us have that issue before we ever started blogging. But when you start blogging and people start getting to know and like and trust your message and they start following you, then they're going to start having questions. And after a while, there won't be enough hours in the day for you to handle your fan club, basically. And so you need a way to direct that. So I created what was called a Calendly link. And that way I can have folks just tap in and get a call with me when I want them to on my calendar. I can create this hallway of time that I can save just to work with my students or my clients. So you get the idea. So Linda's is all kind of inclusive. She still goes out to like YouTube and she's still going out to HostGator for her blog, but her courses and her if she's podcasting, she's doing her videos, all of that, she can house all of that on one platform. And I'm using different platforms and I'm simply connecting them by links. And for any of you that have typed, I'm trying to think of what might be a good example. If you've typed something in, well, we've all seen it. You've all been in a blog post reading and you've seen where a link has been highlighted. And when you are blogging, you can highlight a link underneath any sentence in your blog. And so all I do on my website is I simply highlight the link to my other platforms. And so if somebody's reading about my courses, it links out to Teachable. If they're reading about blogging, it links out to my HostGator. If they're reading about my podcast, it links out to my Audio Boom where my podcast is held. And so, yes, we had a question here. Franz wants to know what the name of your platform is, Linda.
How about if I put my links page in and then they can get many questions
Sure.
answered there? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can just type that. Make sure that it says to everyone when you type it in instead of just to the panelist.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder. I didn't see that.
So anyway, so yes, Linda will put that in the chat. So for those of you that want to save anything in the chat, you can do a screen print if you're on your laptop or computer, or even on your phone. If you click the three little dots right where you start to type in the chat, there should be, is there a way to save chat? Yes, there's a button right there that you can save the chat. So either way, you can do a screen print or save the chat. So once Linda puts that in there, and then I'll put in there where folks can get in touch with me as well. And mine's short and sweet, just kathybenner.com. And you'll find all of my products and services. And you can feel free to click around in my website, see where the links take you, just play around with it. If you say, gee, how does that work? How does it work? Feel free to just click around in mine as well. And if there's something you can use, I give you permission. Copy and paste it and make it your own. Make sure you change it to make it your own, but copy and paste something and make it your own. Now, one of the things, and this isn't something that I normally talk about at this stage of blogging, but just know that the more you put yourself out there, the more you're going to need like some terms and conditions. You're going to need some rules to the game, so to speak. You can go to kathybinner.com, scroll down to the footer across the bottom of my website, and there's a couple of links there on terms and conditions, and you can click on that. And again, feel free to copy that, but take my name out and put yours in. But feel free to plagiarize that for me because that's a hard piece to write, unless you have a template or a place to start. And a friend was gracious enough to let me use his template. And so I want to pay it forward and let you use the same template to help you get started there. But just make sure you take my business name out and put yours in. So there's all of that to help you get started. I just want to make it as easy as possible to make you to create what you want to create. So I want to go around the room and at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, what problem are we solving? What is it that we want our blog post to do? What is it that we want our readers to take away? And so I'll start to give you an idea. I want my readers to be inspired that they can create the lifestyle they want, because freestyle living is different for everyone. And so I want to inspire my readers and my listeners on my blog post, my podcast, my website, my courses, my coaching, everything that I'm doing. I want to inspire my client base and the folks that can hear my voice and read my words. I want to inspire them to live the life. I want them to say, I'm going to picture what I want to look like, what I want my life to look like out in the future. And then every decision that comes my way, I'm going to test and measure it against what I want it to look like. And if it helps push my cart in that direction, then it's a good choice for me. And even though it might be a great opportunity, it may not be a good choice for me if it doesn't push my cart in that direction. I have job offers right now coming in. Folks will say, Kathy, you'd be great. We've got a great salary. We'd love to have you. It doesn't push my cart in the right direction. I want freestyle living. I want to be able to travel. I don't want to have to punch a time clock. So even though it's a great opportunity, it's not pushing my cart in the right direction on where I want to end up. So anyway, that's what I want to do for my readers. Sally, what do you want to do for your viewers and your readers or listeners to whatever message you're putting out there?
I want people to know that they can rise above their circumstances. They don't have to be limited by what's happening in their life. I think not to be afraid to go out and try something. And I'm a bad one to talk about that because, I have an easel back here that I haven't used. But just don't be afraid to go out and try something or try something new. That whatever happens, as long as your life is not in danger, whatever happens while you're traveling, whatever happens in your life, you can gain a new perspective. That's what I want people to realize, that no matter what happens, it might not be in the direction you wanted to go, but it probably is in the direction you should go.
See, I love that. Now, you see what she just did. She just created an outline for herself. And so if she always puts down in her outline that once upon a time, I kind of was in this box, but then I decided to embrace the unexpected. And now I want to share with you that you should take a chance, that you should not be afraid to get out there and explore. And so now whenever she writes a blog post, that can be kind of her outline. She can say, how can I weave my story that this is what I used to feel and think? And you got to put your feelings in there. And this is what I could think about and feel and was afraid of or whatever. But then I realized that I could embrace that. And now I want to encourage you to embrace that as well. So she can weave her blog post around that every time she writes a blog post. So Linda, how about you? What is your message that you want all of your client base to take away?
First, I want to say I loved what Sally said. Wow, that was beautiful.
It was, yes.
Yeah, I love that. For me, you know, I'm a lifelong learner. Like, the curiosity never quits. Life is so cool and so beautiful and so big, and there's something new to learn every day. And I want to help people to live life better, with focus on the things that really matter. And I want them to not be so tied up with complicated things. I want life to be easier. And so, like, on the tech side, I'm always showing people how to get things done more easily, so there's time for people, time for rest and recovery, time for investing in yourself. And on the legacy side, it's like, I want to help people to remove the fear and overwhelm that is so often associated with all the thoughts of what lies ahead. And I want people to be able to take these steps in small, manageable ways now with support, and have that freedom and that release of not judging themselves for not having things handled, and be able to enjoy the beautiful open conversations that start when having these conversations now, instead of leaving a giant burden for those who will have to do a mop-up operation after we pass. So my goal is just to make things easier, smoother, more beautiful for the people that come in contact with me in any way.
Talk about beautiful. That's beautiful right there. For any of us that have taken care of parents or have been down in the weeds, yeah, it's very important to have some of those systems and processes in place early on. And Linda can definitely show you how to do that. So that's a great message. That's a great, and you see where she can then use that kind of as her template when she's writing her blog post to bring everybody back around to that conclusion. So I don't want to necessarily just call on anyone if you're not ready, but would anyone else like to share what would be your overarching message that you would like to get out there to your readers in your blog post? Anyone? Carmela.
I want to be more of an inspiration and just offer encouragement, because I mean, sometimes we all have those days when things, but not to beat yourself up over anything, but to be encouraged and inspired, just words that will kind of make you take a step back, you know, breathe and just smile, you know. It's like, okay, yeah, this happened, but it's not the end of the world. But just to kind of just offer that.
That's a great blog. That's a great blog title. This happened, but it's not the end of the world.
Thank you, Kathy. But that's what I want to do. I'm this one where, you know, I have this big heart and I'm like such a giver. So I always, no matter, and it makes me feel better because no matter what I'm going through, it seems like if I can offer help or encouragement to someone else, it makes me feel 10 times better, if you can understand that.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Giving always does that. And you're such a giver, Carmela. Yes. Thank you for that. Anyone else want to share? What do you want your client base or your readers to take away from your blog post?
On my blog post, which is Puppy Talk 2, I just want people to laugh. I just want people to smile. I want them to look at it. I want them to chuckle. I think we're all saying, you know, singing the same sentiment, but I don't want to take it too seriously. I just want to have fun with it. It gets real simple. I think people should smile more. I think people should stop to get outside themselves and I guess like what everyone else is saying, you know, don't take life too seriously, you know, just no matter where you are and whatever your situation is, I just want them to smile and chuckle. That's it.
Good, 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 good. I love that. Thank you, Centauria. Thank you so much. Shasta, how about you?
I was thinking, because I want to travel more and write about traveling, but I know like there's a lot of travel bloggers that, they're pretty much like nomadic and they live out of their suitcase. And I'm not quite wanting to do that. I still want a home base. So I thought maybe, blog about traveling and things, exploring, the new areas that you go to, but also when you're at home, exploring your, right where you are. I remember hearing, a lot of people that live in New York City have never even been to the Statue of Liberty.
Wow.
So
you know what, your
like
your
that.
tribe's going to find you. Your audience is the folks that are in that position that say, well, I can't really travel out of my suitcase or out live in a van. I have a job and I have kids and I've got to be home and I've got dishes to do and laundry to do, but I love to travel. They're going to gravitate toward that blog. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Did you have a name already?
I'm thinking tourists at home and beyond.
Okay. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that. We've got some great minds here. Anyone else want to share? I'll give everybody a few seconds. If you're nervous to share, it's okay. Yes, Liz.
My objective for the blog is basically just to overcome people's fear. A lot of people are afraid of acupuncture. They're not familiar with acupressure, and the educational aspect is just a huge part of what I'm trying to overcome. On the East Coast, it's, everybody's got an acupuncturist. Where I live, I've been doing it 20 years and doctors still say to my patients, oh, that really works. And it's like, okay, yeah. So
I just had a friend talk to me about it at a real estate meetup the other night. And I love to open up conversations by saying, oh, what's new? And he goes, I found this great place for acupuncture. And I'm like, what? And he told us so much about it. And so now I'm intrigued. So yeah,
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, but people think, it's frightening. Who wants to get stuck with 50 needles? Or
but
even
because I've just recently been exposed to the conversation, I would notice your blog post if I were scrolling around and I would go, oh, I'm reading this.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I need to be working on, is posting more often and really developing it as a blog that has an audience, as opposed to people come to my website looking for acupuncture and then they kind of click over onto the blog as kind of a informational thing. I'd like people to find the blog first and then go to the web, go into
my best advice to you then is don't be short on the story. Okay. Make sure that when you're blogging about acupuncture, you've got to start with the fears that you got to start with what your message is, overcoming the fears of even the knowledge of it. So you have to start with the story. Even if it's not your story, right. I remember when Susie first came in, Susie was, afraid of, or was uncertain about, or didn't understand, or needed to learn more, and then Susie discovered this. And now Susie, is having this great success. So be sure that you weave your story or someone's story in there. And so for some of you, you might say, well, for what it is that how I want to monetize this, I don't have a story. You can use your client stories. If you're already in the business, like Liz is already in the acupuncture business, she can use client stories without actually naming the client under HIPAA laws or whatever, but she can use them, like I had this older gentleman one time, and here was his aha moment, here's what he was afraid of, or here is what was going on with him. But then, he decided to give it a try. And now, you know, he's living happily ever after. So
Okay, that's a really
And-
good idea. Yeah.
yeah, so weave some stories in there, and that's what's going to get people reading. That's what's going to get people leaning in. And somebody is going to identify with that story. They're going to say,
Okay.
I have that exact same issue. Maybe I should try acupuncture. See, that's what's gonna sell what it is that you're doing is the story. If you just go in there and quote, you know, 59% of people that do, people are gonna read it and
But
go,
you see in my blog?
but they're gonna say, oh, that's nice. But it's
Yeah.
not gonna convert. The
Yeah,
story is what's gonna make it convert. Is that helpful for everyone?
it is.
Perfect. All right, Liz, thank you so much. I think that's great. Yes, I would read that. I would read that because again, I already know what issues I have. And if I ran across a story about somebody that had the same kind of issues and acupuncture solved their problem, I would so be interested in exploring that more. And that's
Okay.
where you want to go with that. Anyone else? What is your overarching message that you want to give to your readers? Anyone? Well, we're a little after 11 o'clock today. I just want to say I appreciate everybody being on board this morning. And I hope that you took something away from this. There I see Brian's face. Brian, good to see you. We met in person the other night. Yes, yes.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, Laprelle says this was great, learned a lot. Yes, thank you for being with us. And if anybody else want to share, I'm happy to let you share before we go. It's a little after 11. If you do have to go, yeah, Franz, go ahead. Oh, you're on mute, sweetie.
Yes. Okay.
There you go.
Yes, I'm not fluent in English, so I speak well the way I can. But I would like to thank you for this meetup because for us it's just like something I've just discovered now, and I've discovered it from my daughter, who has arrived in the surrounding of Pittsburgh and who felt really alone and lost because she's very young and I don't know, it's very difficult for her. And through that experience, for my blog, I'm thinking about two things I would like to work on. First, as I'm working with children, I'm trying to they are dealing with problems at school, so I'm trying to make parents and children I'm not only working for children, but make parents and children reconnect together. So that's something that I would like to all those stories with children I worked with, so that parents can stop fighting with their children because of school, because in France it's quite heavy. The school system is really difficult for children, I think so, and not very child, how would you say? It's not nice for children and childhood generally. And the second thing I'm thinking about through what I've lived with my daughter, I used to travel a lot, and I had to make the nestle each time we were going from one country to another from scratch. There was nothing, and I had no help because at that time it was not with internet and all those things. So I probably would do something to help, especially women, either they are mothers or not, when they move, to find ways not to be lonely, because when a woman is alone and when a mother is lost, it's a family who is touched and can be really desperate. So I think that when you help a mother or a woman, you not only help a mother, you help children and you help a family, a whole family. So that would be something, maybe two things I'm thinking about to put in my blog.
Yes, Franz, I think your message is so important. And again, I just want to say this to everyone: be authentic, Weave your story into your blog and your tribe will find you. The folks that need your message will find your message. Okay. Now here's what I want to tell some of you folks. If you're thinking about starting a blog and you just haven't yet, you've been kind of dragging your feet, so to speak, just know that your audience is already out there waiting for you. Your audience is already out there waiting for you. So don't let them down. And you don't have to write perfectly. Just start putting your heart and your authentic self and your story into your blog post, and your tribe will find you. The folks that need your message will find you. That's just inherently in the universe. They will gravitate towards you. I hope that inspires somebody to get started, because your audience is already waiting for you. Brian, thank you for being on today. Did you want to share what is your message? What do you hope for your clients to take away from your blog?
That's a good question. I would say just do it. Just do it.
So you just want your audience to just get on with it, to just take that step. So you want to inspire them to just do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So you can write your story in there on how you took that step and inspire your audience to just do it. Anyone else? This has been great. Lots of chat going on. Thanking everyone all around, and thank you for being here. Please come and join us on Friday mornings. We're here every month, and I always have to look because I've got several events that go on. If you want to find all of the events, you can go to kathybinner.com, scroll down the home page to the events, and you'll see all the different events, and you can click through, do all the free stuff. Anyway, we are here the first Friday of every month. Mark your calendars before you sign off. If you go to the little green shield clear up in the upper left corner and click on that, you'll see the webinar ID. If you want to copy and paste that ID, it's the same ID every month. And that way you don't have to try to find an invite somewhere, or go to Facebook, or go to Meetup group, or whatever to click through. If you just want to save that meeting ID somewhere on your calendar, or I have a girlfriend and we have them all written down on an index card. So you can just go to your Zoom app and just type in the meeting ID, and it'll bring you into the meeting that way as well. So there's lots of ways to get in, but just make a note of that meeting ID. Again, it's the first Friday of every month, Eastern time at 10 a.m. So next month, we're going to be talking about promoting. And so hopefully some of you that haven't started blogging yet will pull the trigger, so to speak, as Brian says, and just do it. Just do it and get
Good
started.
advice, Brian.
And anyway, blog name, get your domain, find your platform, customize it to your colors and what you want it to look like. Start writing posts with your story woven in there. And next month, we're going to then start promoting those blog posts. So we will see everyone next month. See everybody later.
Liz,
bye.
I like your background, Liz.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I do
NASA.
too.
Pardon?
It's from NASA. They have a lot of free images, and I just picked that one. It's really
Love
easy
it.
to add the background in Zoom. So yeah, it's fun.
All right, guys.
Everybody have a great weekend.
Yes,
Thank
happy
you, you
Easter.
too.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
take care.